In today's lesson, we're going to see how we can do this transition. So let's get started. Begin by making a sequence from your first video. So I have this video of the camera zooming in towards the logo, and this is perfect for me to just put in my next clip and have it look like we're going through the logo and seeing our second video. So if you want to get your own clips, make sure that there is something with a lot of contrast so we can mask it out easily. Let's zoom into our timeline and decide when we want to zoom in into our first video. So right around here, I'm going to right-click, insert frame hold segment. So now we have a freeze frame, and we can actually get rid of the rest. So right on this freeze frame, we're going to duplicate it. I'm going to hide away the duplicate for now and work with the one on the bottom. So on the bottom section, we're going to grab the pen tool under opacity and just mask out the logo. So this should be pretty easy. You don't have to be perfect with it, but the cleaner, the better. We are going to use some motion blur, so your mistakes won't be as noticeable. Switch between H and P to make a point, and then use the hand tool, which is H, to move your canvas around. So I got my logo nice and clean. Remove the feather, so we get a clean cut out of the logo. Now you can zoom in onto the video or the freeze frame and just make sure that there isn't any red visible. This way we can avoid a interruption in our transition. So just focus on the black line. So once I have my cutout, I'm going to click away and bring back my first video. So we can actually delete the duplicate the masked version, and simply invert it. So now on the duplicate, we have the car, but not the logo. In the original video, we just have the logo. Nest each of these ones individually. Call the top nest frame and the bottom nest logo. All right. So now we want to add on the transform effect and put it onto each one. Click on the logo layer, effect controls, and kind of make the logo like slide down. So it's like a door opening to show the rest of the video. We're going to make a keyframe for position and move a few frames forward. Then pull this down completely. So the logo should just slide down like so. Enable motion blur, 360 shutter angle, and turn off this option. So it just disappears like so. After the logo goes away, we're going to make a keyframe on the frame nest for position and scale. Move forward, again just a few frames, not that much. Use scale to just completely get rid of the frame. And if needed, if you felt like the logo is moved towards the side, we can push it with the position X and Y so that the logo can stay centered when we scale it up. I have to go back to my logo layer and pull this down even more. So after this, you should not be seeing anything and just get a black screen. Now on your frame, you want to enable the motion blur, just as we did with the logo video. Now bring these guys up, creating room down here for our second video. let's see. Put your second video underneath, check the frame size, and now when we play it all back, we get this transition. So now I just need to work with the speed of my transition and make everything perfect. So right now I think it's a little uncoordinated. So go to your logo layer and let's see, put our playhead exactly where the transition happens. I'm gonna stretch this out. So right here my logo leaves. And around here, the frame is already gone. So have your playhead on the second keyframe on the logo nest. Move in one frame towards the right. Go to your frame video, the frame layer, and just pull these guys back so that the frame moves after the logo. So there's like a little pause. And this is all optional. You can even just simply fade out the logo and don't create a pause for it. Set your in and out points, render your video so you can see a before and after. Enable loop, play this back, and now this is what we have. So once I play this back, I want like a longer pause between the frame and the logo moving away. So after the logo is gone, I'm going to wait a few seconds before the frame moves out. So just pull these guys back so we can see a sneak peek of what's happening behind the car and then see the rest. If you want, you can make the first bit of the second video a freeze frame or maybe like do a zoom effect. I'm going to make this a different color and try to zoom this in. So let's move on to the beginning of this second video. Grab our transform effect, make a keyframe for scale, pull the 100% scale keyframe after the frame is gone. I'm going to cut this transition. So after the frame is no longer in sight, we have a 100% scale transition. Going forward, right at the beginning of this transition, we're going to increase this by like maybe 200. Play this back and we get like this zoom effect. This can make our work more dynamic. Enable motion blur. Motion blur is really important in all of these, so don't skip out on that. Optionally, we can add a rotate effect as well. At the start of this video, 0 degrees rotation, match it with the second scale keyframe. At the beginning, we're going to add maybe 90 degrees. Because we're zoomed in, there shouldn't be much of a problem. If you saw that you're getting black bars, we can increase the scale. Because we have motion blur, you can scale in more than usual, so don't be worried about that. Let's try 400, and that's looking good. Again, go in slowly, make sure we're not getting any other black bars, and we're pretty much ready to go. All right, so now onto the second video. We're going to do the same thing, but perhaps with a different movement. You can just stop here or maybe zoom in through like this little area. I just left this out optionally. So right when you want the transition to start, right click, insert frame hold segment, get rid of the rest. And we're going to grab it, zoom into that little compartment that we want to mask out, hold down edge, zoom in even more. All right. Using the pen tool, we're going to mask this out. So grab this, get the pen tool. And because this is a small detail, you don't have to be perfect. You can already see that the edges of this part is blurred out, so you don't have to spend that much time on it. Remove feather. Work with your points a little until you're happy. Once we have this, we're going to duplicate this section on the top one, invert it, so we get everything but this small section. Again, we're going to nest each one so we don't get any complications. And call this outline. And this one, we're going to call it tunnel. So this is the outline and that's the tunnel. Zoom right out. And now we're going to, once again, use any animation out there to get rid of this tiny section. You can try scale, rotation, or even just opacity. It's really up to you. So you can try anything to get rid of this tiny bit. Put the transform effect onto your nested clip, effect controls, and use any of these options. This is a few of the examples. You can use scale to make it smaller. You can use position X or Y to bring it up, down, left, right, or use rotation to kind of flip it out of the scene. So there are many options. I'm just going to stick with a classic position keyframe. Start your stopwatch, go in a few frames, push it up out of sight. Turn off outline and make sure it's not hanging around anywhere. And you should have this tiny thing just flying up out of your frame. Enable motion blur as always. And now we have this tiny section that we can use. Now over here, because the hole is towards the right, we need to use a little bit more of the options. So first add the transform effect on your outline nest. And after the hole is gone, which isn't that noticeable, so we can actually do it right here. Add a keyframe for position and scale. Make a keyframe for anchor point as well. Pull it at the start. Move forward a few frames. And first we're going to change the anchor point towards the middle. And then use scale to just move straight into that section. So just switch between anchor point, scale, and position until you're just past that section. So we're going to stop somewhere around here. And this should be enough of a fast effect for the transition to go through. Around here, like a frame after this last keyframe, we're going to add a opacity keyframe. So 100%. On the last keyframe, we're going to set it to 0. So this just fades out, and we're left with our third video, which will be right underneath. Get rid of the rest of these nested clips, pull this up, and bring in our last video. Let's take a look at a preview and then work with the speed and keyframe placement. So when I play this back, it's a little too fast. I'm going to adjust the length of my layers and the keyframes to get something that I need. And we actually forgot to add motion blur to the second video, so just do that. Add motion blur to both of your clips. It's really important. Once I have worked with the speed and my layers, I got myself a transition like this. You can make this slower or faster to the way you like it. I want mine to be fast, so I left mine like this. So those were 2 transitions that you can do using masking and the transform effect. They are very simple and versatile, and great for action videos, music videos, or just any epic video where you want a lot of excitement. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. Now let's move on to the next one.